Taiwan is the first Asian nation to ban cat and dog meat. Around the world, cats and dogs are considered to be humanity's most faithful companions. That's not the case in many parts of Asia, where millions of our furry friends often end up as food. Fortunately, there's at least one Asian country who gets it. On April 11th, Taiwan passed legislation that will ban the consumption of dog and cat meat and level offenders with heavy fines for variations of all violations. For instance, penalties for animal slaughter and cruelty have now been raised to up to 2 years in prison that come with fines of up to nearly $66,000 US. Fancy the taste of dog or cat meat? Well, eating them can now earn offenders fines between about $1,600 and $8,200. The same fines are handed out for the selling of dog and cat meat, so really, how much is it worth to you? Not only do those who refuse to adhere to the law get slapped with fines, but their names and photos may be publicized to give their reputations a beating too. Dog meat in particular is consumed in places like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, the Philippines, and northern India. The plight of the dogs is especially bad in South Korea, where Humane Society International reports roughly 2 million of them are kept and killed for their flesh. But the worst place in the world to be a dog? China, a country responsible for roughly 1/3 of the 30 million dogs slaughtered annually worldwide. 4 million cats suffer the same fate every year in China as well. But attitudes are changing, with more people deciding to adopt these animals as pets and even treat them like kids, rather than have children of their own. In 2013, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand agreed to work together to stop the trafficking of dogs for meat. Taiwan's president Tsai Ing-wen is widely known to be an animal lover, owning 2 cats and having adopted 3 retired guide dogs last year. As far as consideration for the rights of other animals go, Taiwan's new laws are a major indication of progressive leadership, no matter how you slice it.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
They might be loyal pets to many, but in some parts of the world, they're dinner.
One man's best friend is another man's dinner. This picture, which has been making the rounds on social media recently, shows the heart-shattering moment a 5-year-old girl finds her dog that's been missing for several days. According to China's People's Daily Online, the little girl had raised the dog, which was named Flower, in a rural part of northern Vietnam. For 3 years, the two were together until one day, her dog went missing. She searched for Flower for several days. Nothing could prepare the little girl for what came next, and no therapy will ever reverse the impact of spotting your beloved pet dead, roasted, and available for sale. Canine cuisine is still very popular in parts of Vietnam, South Korea, and China. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your dog is?
Dog discarded at meat market gets second chance and prosthetic legs. At first glance, this 2-year-old golden retriever mix, Chi-Chi, looks as happy a dog as you might ever see. But her good nature and lovable smile don't reveal a hint of the horrors she's endured over her short life. Young Chi-Chi was the victim of unimaginable cruelty from the time she was born, slated to become one of the reported 2.5 million dogs slaughtered annually in South Korea's underground dog meat trade, where there are no laws or regulations requiring the humane slaughter of dogs for meat. Every day, she was hung upside down, her legs bound by ropes and wires, and beaten by handlers, under the belief that a dog's meat is more tender when tortured. At some point, Chi-Chi's keepers realized that the bindings around her legs had cut through her flesh, causing parts of her body to become grossly infected. They came to the conclusion that her meat would likely be too rancid for human consumption, and disposed of her in a dumpster behind the meat market shortly afterward, still alive. Scared and alone, Chi-Chi was later found by a group of Good Samaritans who immediately contacted an animal rescue organization willing to help the dog in noticeable distress. The rescue team then gathered her up and rushed her to an emergency veterinary clinic. There, doctors diagnosed that her 4 legs had indeed rotted to the bone, the infection spreading to the rest of her body. If she was to have any chance at survival, Chi-Chi would have to undergo a quadruple amputation procedure, effectively cutting off the infection, but consequently leaving her with mere stubs for paws. Though the surgery was successful, It was anyone's guess as to how Chi-Chi might adapt, both physically and emotionally, after all the trauma she'd been through. But this resilient pup, whose name translated means loving, proved to be a fighter like the world has maybe never seen. ARM, the Los Angeles-based animal welfare group who saved Chi-Chi, reports that the day after her surgery, she was wagging her tail and already attempting to walk. A couple days later, remarkably, she was somehow managing to get around on her stumps. Demonstrating she could be a good candidate for prosthetics, Chi-Chi was fitted with 4 new legs and spent the following 2 months getting used to her new footing. It may not have been easy, but she sure made it look that way, running around on her prosthetic paws chasing balls with reckless abandon like any normal dog would. Through social media and news coverage, her inspiring story caught the attention of the world, in particular a family in Arizona. The Howells, who have 3 dogs already, reached out to ARM to complete Chi-Chi's journey and offer her a loving home. When she was deemed ready, Chi-Chi was flown 6,000 miles from Seoul all the way to LA, where her rescuers and her new family picked her up and brought her to her new home in Phoenix this past week. The Howells say she still has a long road of rehab and recovery ahead of her, and it may not always be a walk in the park. But despite her physical limitations and psychological trauma, they say Chi-Chi appears boundless in her enthusiasm for life. It's hoped her story of being able to forgive and continue to smile in the face of adversity will act as a lesson to people everywhere about how to journey onwards and keep moving forward, one step at a time. Activists urge China's Yulin Dog Meat Festival to be banned. The Chinese city of Yulin is known for its annual Dog Meat Festival, which usually falls on the summer solstice. Up to 10,000 dogs are consumed by the locals during the event. The dogs are often slaughtered in public, right in front of the other dogs waiting to be killed. Locals would eat the dog meat with lychee because apparently eating the two together can help people get through the hot and humid summer weather. Some provinces in China, such as Guangxi, Guizhou, Jilin, and Guangdong, do have a historic tradition of consuming dog meat, mostly because pork or beef were scarce back in the old days. However, the dog meat eating habit only turned into a festival in Yulin in the late 1990s. It was promoted by the local catering industry as a way to boost tourism. To ensure the abundant supply of dog meat, many vendors resort to stealing pet dogs. Some of the dogs being slaughtered are often still wearing collars, breaking the hearts of many dog lovers. Yulin government said they have never officially supported the festival and promised to ban public slaughter. However, it did not stop this despicable act from happening. Most Chinese citizens consider the festival to be inhumane and urge Yulin locals to stop eating dog meat, with many sharing heartwarming stories such as this one: a dog saved the life of an abandoned baby. Meanwhile, some Chinese people claim there isn't a dog meat festival in Yulin, that it was only made up by the media. Others claim that dog keepers should watch their dogs more closely so that they don't get eaten by people.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
China's controversial dog meat festival angers activists. In celebration of the summer solstice, locals in Yulin, China hold a festival where it's customary to eat dog meat and lychee fruit. Animal rights activists in China and around the world are speaking out about the treatment of the dogs before they are prepared for lunch or dinner. Most of the trade during the festival, which tallies to around 10,000 dogs, is reportedly illegal, with little to no regulations governing the conditions the animals are kept in. Local traditions related to eating dog meat date back to around 500 years ago, and dog meat is reputed to help people beat the summer heat. Controversy surrounding the festival and the practice of eating dogs includes the fact that some of the dogs are kidnapped pets that are then sold illegally. Also, the Chinese government is facing more pressure from international animal rights activists to put a stop to the festival. Some activists even spend money to buy dogs directly from the market in a bid to rescue them from being boiled or barbecued and served up for dinner. So what do you think? Is the dog meat festival any worse than eating turkey every year for Thanksgiving? If you think dog meat isn't palatable, they also have cat meat for sale in Yulin.